The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Good morning and welcome to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host and producer, Kristina Liu, along with my co-hosts today, Otto Los and Paula Ewell. Paula and I work together at the Department of Services for the Aging, where she's the Deputy Commissioner, and I'm the Director of Senior Citizen Affairs. And Otto, what can we say? The face of PI, friend, volunteer, the original member of Project Independence. It's great to be back. It's been a few weeks. I'm so glad that we're back together. And more importantly, today we are joined by a very special guest. We have Sharayah Sanon, who is the program coordinator of the Community Crisis Center for CN Guidance. And we had the privilege of having them on a few years back. They've presented for us all about this amazing community crisis center and all the mental health and substance abuse assistance and just compassion and care and support that's so needed right now. So it's really incredible that this is right in our area. So thank you so much for joining us. Of course. So there's a lot to go into. You guys gave us so much material, but let's just start with the basics of what, CN Guidance and Counseling provides and just the center in general.
Sure. So CN Guidance is a huge agency. We have over 60 programs across Long Island. We have residential programs. We have healthcare coordination. We have ACT, FACT, Forensic, Youth Act. Wow. We have a PROS program. We have a beautiful CCBHC clinic, which is connected to my program that recently opened. And in addition, we are constantly expanding across New York in general as we are moving into the boroughs. We are hopefully soon, sometime this year or next year, opening up programs in Queens as well.
Wow. Great.
I'm going to go back a notch.
Go ahead, Otto.
What got you into mental health and crisis center? Like when you were a little kid, did you think this is what you were going to do?
No. I've actually always been in the field of nonprofit in a kind of like a service role. I started out probably out of college working with the developmental disabled population, the IDD population. I started out as a counselor in one of their residential homes while I was in college. From there, I kind of thought like, I wanted to stick with this. I want to, this is my thing. I want to help people. So then I went to school. Well, I graduated with my bachelor's, and then I went to school for my master's, and I got a master's in disability studies.
Interesting.
Then I became a coordinator, and I did that for many years. But then something transitioned. I started to work at a shelter because I'm a transplant. I lived in Brooklyn all of my life. So in the city, we have many shelters, like in your backyard. So then I started working in a shelter, and it was a mental health women's shelter. Wow. So the focus was very mental health, which was sort of different from what I was doing with the IDD population. And immediately I was like, I love this. I love mental health. I think this is my thing. I went back to school and got a second master's in social work. And then I just kind of been, in the field since then.
Well, we're lucky, and the rest of the world is lucky you feel that way. We need a lot of people to feel that way. Yeah. There's a lot of people with a lot of problems, and a lot of people don't want to know about that.
Yeah, and I think it really did start from when I was younger, as you mentioned. Living in the city, you would kind of interact with unhoused populations all the time, or individuals that have, stigma or kind of shunned from the community. You would see those individuals all the time, like out on the street, whether they were unhoused or they were just outside. So when I was a kid, I was never really fearful of it. I kind of always asked my parents questions, or why is this person out on the street, or what's happening with them, or why is this person in a wheelchair, or why is this person blind? Just, random questions. And luckily enough, I had parents that kind of explained those things to me, and it kind of made me just more interested. And I didn't see it as a defect. I saw it as, okay, these people need extra help. And luckily enough, now I'm one of those people that can help them.
Right. Oh, wonderful.
But that's what's special, and that's what's so wonderful about doing this show, because we always say, you could when someone is in the organization because our heart's in it, and it's kind of been, something that you were just drawn to, right? You don't know why. Yeah. It's just, that's what I would say when I work with seniors. I just knew as a little girl, that's what I wanted to do, and I think that that's really a testament to the organization, and I especially for our listeners, just to know the invest. When I was doing research on you, you're so invested in this program and this mission, and I think that's what makes it a success.
I think a combination of education and street smart is not a bad thing.
Yes.
And I grew up in not one block from Brooklyn, so I've had some exposure also. And I think you learn a lot, and you learn to accept, you don't choose your entry level in life. It is what it is, and some people kind of think that they get a little arrogant about things because their entry level was great, but they don't really appreciate that. You could have been born with any kind of problems. Nobody asked you. There's no checklist.
Absolutely. Yep. I always think about we could have been one of those people. That could be our life's experience.
It wouldn't take much.
Nope. Yeah. We're all one moment away from crisis, as I like to say.
Literally. I think that's quite the motto.
Literally.
So the Community Crisis Center is still just a little baby. And when did you give us, what was the need? You feel there was a need and that's why it opened? How did this come about, the Community Crisis Center?
Sure. So this program started, the thought or the idea of it started about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, even before I was even working at CN Guidance. So it started out as a proposal. Governor Hochul wanted to bring this idea to the state of New York because a program like this did not exist in New York at all. So she put out a proposal for 9 of these to be built across the state of New York. CN Guidance put out a proposal for one, and they were granted it. So this program was needed. Like I said, a program like this never existed on Long Island. This program is essentially a behavior health urgent care for individuals that are experiencing a behavior health crisis, which is a mental health crisis, or an SUD crisis. So prior to a program like this existing, I'm just going to talk about specifically on Long Island, individuals would use the ER. They would just go to the ER whenever, they were experiencing either a new acute crisis, psychosis, individuals not really, knowing what's happening with them. They would just go to the ER. Or individuals experiencing, suicidal thoughts or homicidal thoughts would just appear at the ER. As we all know, ER wait is very long. It's not a very welcoming environment. There's tons of people that are there because they're experiencing medical emergencies or other emergencies. And unfortunately, how it works in the ER is medical always takes priority over mental health. So individuals that are experiencing these crises are just sitting around waiting for hours.
Like the worst thing.
Right.
Exactly. It's increasing their symptoms.
I've had some personal exposure to what you're describing. And it's not a good position to be in.
No.
You don't know what to do. You want to do something, and you don't know where to go or what to. Now, I've learned a lot because of this. I would have a pretty good idea of what I would do. But the need for a place like you're describing, mental health, substance abuse problem, now what? What do I do now? We're sitting here. We got this big problem. So what would happen now? Would I call you? Would I walk in? Would I bring somebody? How's that gonna?
So the process is very simple. This program was designed to be a no wrong door. So that means that if you're not even sure what's happening with you and you're just curious, like, hey, I know that I'm experiencing something, you can still walk in. This is a walk-in 100% voluntary clinic. You do not have to call prior to coming in. If you want to call and say, hey, I'm coming in, sure. If you don't, that's fine as well. So individuals just walk in off the street, seen, no appointment necessary. At the clinic, we have tons of staff there across many disciplines that are there to assist the clients that present there. We have 24/7 nursing staff, and their job is to assess if it's a medical emergency or an actual behavior health, because again, if it's medical, we need to get them to the appropriate place because they will be able to get everything treated there versus with us, we can only treat mental health and SUD.
What portion of the people who come in by themselves or come in with family/friend who brings them in?
Yeah.
Do many people come in by themselves?
They do.
Really?
So I would say that probably 50% of the adults that present alone. and the other half present with a family member or a friend or, someone that is there to support them, which they can. Any individual that presents can come with a companion that can stay with them throughout their entire stay that they are there. The nitty gritty of the program is that we see ages 5 and up.
I was just going to say, what's your age range?
Yep.
Yeah.
We see ages 5 and up. So, of course, minors, if they present, they do need to present with a parent or a guardian. And we're here 24/7, 365.
Do you get referrals from other agencies?
All the time.
Like agencies that are treating mental
Yes.
say, you know what, go over to, this is where we think you should go next.
All the time.
Rather than just drive to a hospital
Yep.
ER. So
And that was what we really did. That was the work that we did by coming to these types of events, putting the
Right.
word out there and meeting with other community agencies and partners as well, making them partners in the work that we're doing.
Right.
Because we need each other.
Right,
If they are seeing a client and, this is their regular client that they're seeing every 2 weeks, they're not able to fit the client in, if there's an emergency situation. But if they're able to assess that individual doesn't need to go to the ER, we are the place that it would be appropriate for them to come to.
Right.
So absolutely, we receive referrals all the time from other community agencies that let us know, like, hey, I just seen my client here in the office. I refer them to come to you.
Yeah, that's great.
I would think that the police and maybe like volunteer ambulance services or whatnot would be the more of them that know about what you're doing.
I think maybe
the better.
police, though, need to go to the hospital first. I'm not sure, but to make sure
Do
it's
they,
not a
with the
medical.
police? Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Do police come right to you? I would think they go first to like an ER, just to determine there's no acute health. I don't
Right.
know.
So right now in Nassau County, the police, if they are activated, EMS shows up with the police. So in that event, the individual would always have to go to the hospital because they need to rule out medical.
Yeah, that's what I
But
thought.
we are constantly working, with the police to get the word out on
Yeah,
this.
because the education piece
Right,
is the
right.
biggest
Yeah,
piece. Right.
and especially when things have been a certain way for a very long time. It's
Right, right. You have to
we're still a
change the
baby. We're
culture.
only 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still
Yeah.
tiny infant. It's definitely a culture shock, a
Right.
culture change. To say, oh, okay, I don't have to go to the ER. I can
Right.
take this person here.
Right.
So it's going to take time
Yeah.
for them to, really understand the service. But we do interact with the police often. They are part of our stakeholder group. We do talk to them a lot. We do try to, I've gone to Nassau County meetings as well to talk about the services. So right now, as it stands, Nassau County Police, if they are not been called to an emergency situation with
Right,
EMS,
okay.
they can bring individuals
Okay.
to the crisis center. It just hasn't happened yet, but I also, again, it's a part
Yeah,
of
it's a part. It's
The process.
it's not
of
their
changing.
norm.
Right,
It's gonna take a process. It's
Right.
gonna be a process to, really, for that to start
A
happening.
reality, I believe, also is you're located in Hicksville. If the police in New Hyde Park, for example, had an issue, they probably couldn't go to Hicksville. They probably can't go out of, although I don't know. I'm just talking out loud,
Yeah,
really.
that could also be a possibility. I mean, I guess you're referring to like the private, the county, like police, like specific.
Right.
Maybe they probably can't. But Nassau
Yeah.
County Police most definitely could.
Yeah.
But I mean, also they might be thinking, oh, by the time I'm driving here, there's a
Right.
hospital here. I
Right.
could just
Right.
drop
And they
them all
would
to the
go also
hospital.
frequently to NUMC, right?
Yeah.
That would be like a.
Yeah, that's what
a
happens
main
a lot
stop.
of the times.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do take them.
So
to
somebody does go there, however they got there, through referral or through word of mouth, hopefully, and they walk in. What happens? Like, is this like we talked about an emergency room? Is there like a waiting room that looks like an emergency room?
Nope, no way. No way. So when we were designing this program, we did a lot of research. We consulted with trauma-informed care agencies that build mental health facilities. We were concerned about the paint color, the smell, the furniture, every single thing, to ensure that this place felt like a warm living room setting.
Right.
We wanted to be the total opposite of an ER, an emergency room, because that is not what we are and what we do. So we do have a very small waiting area. And that was designed on purpose because individuals are coming in crisis.
Yeah.
We don't want them sitting around waiting in a waiting room. We want them to check in. We want the reception process to be very short. We only collect an ID, an insurance card, and we do 2 consents right then and there. If an individual doesn't have an ID or an insurance card, that is not a barrier. They can still be seen. It is not a requirement.
Yeah.
We will still absolutely check them in, and they will still be seen. Then they go through. We do ask individuals to check in their property, and that's just because we want the environment to be free of distractions. We all know that if we come in with a bunch of things, sometimes I bring a person that has a million things in it, and sometimes I'm like looking through it and I'm looking for things, and it becomes a distraction. My phone can be a distraction. So we do ask individuals to lock up those things before they go into treatment. However, it's not a deal breaker. We're not married to it. You know, if an individual is super, stuck to and married to whatever items they have, because it could be,
Gives them
a
comfort.
calming, exactly. It could be a calming mechanism for them. We will work with them. But they check in those items and then they go to triage. So triage is where they meet with the nurses, and the nurses assess if they are having an actual behavioral health emergency or a medical. So right then and there, we determine if they get admitted or not. They get admitted, wonderful. They go to the back and they begin treatment. If for whatever reason they are not appropriate, because maybe they are suicidal with intent and they have a plan and they have a purpose and they have a plan to carry it out, and we're not able to safety plan with them, we're not able to engage them, we need to get them to the next level of care, which would be the hospital. So then we arrange that transportation.
Hold
for
that
them.
thought, because I want to continue this after the break. We will continue talking with Sharayah Sanon all about CN Guidance's Community Crisis Center. You're listening to Project Independence in You on LIU Public Radio.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Liu, along with my co-hosts, Otto and Paula, and we're diving right back in with Sharayah Sanon, all about CN Guidance's Community Crisis Center. And before the break, we were kind of talking about the process, which I think is so important for our listeners to be aware of, because when you're in a crisis mode, I think as much as you know about how it's kind of going to play out is extremely helpful. I know, at least for myself, it's so.
Of course.
So we were, Otto, if you want to take it away. I know during the break you were.
We get to the next level after we go through the triage and, the welcoming reception area, which is all great. Now you go to what would be called by you the treatment center or the treatment area. What goes on in the treatment area? Like, as I say, you can come in there for God knows how many different mental health issues, addiction problems. You could be in different stages, mental stage as far as the addiction part goes. You could be high. You could be combative, which leads me to a question that we can get into separately, but that's security. But we're in the treatment area. What happens? Where do I go, and who figures out what to do?
Sure. So we are in constant communication, the team members, as soon as an individual walks through the door. Everybody is made aware of a client, who the client is, how they're presenting, and what's happening with them. So we're all kind of like in the treatment area getting ready for the client to come back. We've already gathered a plan for who's going to meet with the individual first and what treatments that they should receive based off of the presenting problem that they came for. And I love that Paula mentioned both. The majority of clients that present at the CCC are co-occurring. So an individual,
substance use.
an individual may present for behavior health, and then later on in the assessment process, we find out that there's also SUD present, because obviously
Not many people will want to talk about that when they're being assessed.
And they don't even think that they use substances as
some kind of coping
as a coping mechanism for what they're experiencing, especially when the symptoms are new and they haven't been diagnosed. They don't even realize that they're drinking more or they're using marijuana more, because they're using it as a coping mechanism to try to alleviate some of those symptoms, like symptom management, even though it's not the correct way to manage those symptoms. So individuals, once they get admitted, they come to the treatment area. So the treatment area, once you get admitted, you will be assigned to a hope room. That's what we call our treatment rooms.
Oh, I like
and
that.
in those hope rooms, that is where you receive all of your services. So as I mentioned, we have prescribers, we have clinicians, we have KSACs, which are our substance use counselors, and we have peers. Peers are the life and the heart of this program. They are actually the first individuals that engage with a person in the reception area.
Right.
And they kind of walk through with the clients and stay with them throughout their stay there to really kind of encourage them to, to continue with the process. They are very unique to this program because they have that lived experience, and that makes all the difference in
and
the
they
individuals.
probably didn't have the experience you're offering.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
or
they
the
have
people to,
that's what I'm saying,
offer
that
them
with
that.
them. Right.
So they are very instrumental in the process. So client gets assigned to their hope room, and each discipline comes directly to them and provides the services. Our prescribers can provide psyche evals, medication management. We can start detox at the CCC, so we can handle severe to moderate. Mild to moderate.
Okay.
Severe gets sent out to the hospital or inpatient facility. So clients go into their hope room, which is a room where they have a recliner that can recline all the way back. They can take a nap if they need to. There's a companion chair that is there as well. And individuals receive all of their services there. Staff come to them. If they want to leave the room, they absolutely can. They can get up. They can walk around. When we were going through the design process, we visited other facilities like this out of state. We designed a living community area for individuals. So that is a space where they can go, have a seat in an area outside of their treatment room, watch TV, play games, engage with peers, other staff as well. We have a kitchenette area where they can have ready, small meals, snacks, coffee, tea, water. Just to, get a break from the back-to-back treatment. Because a lot of the times individuals present and there's so much happening. Yeah. They are in crisis 24/7. Sometimes meeting with, disciplines back-to-back can be a lot. So because they can be there for up to 23 hours and 59 minutes, we try to give them a break in between so that they can, have some time to process their treatment.
Right.
Is this what I stay there for any period of time?
Well, that's I think
That's
the good
the
thing.
23 hours and 59 minutes is the maximum
it's discharge
time.
planning.
24 hours.
23 hours.
yeah.
23 hours,
minutes.
sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What would happen after the 23rd hour?
Yep. So before we even reach the 23 hours and 59 minutes, my staff are already working on a discharge plan.
Discharge begins at admission.
Aftercare planning. So each individual that presents at the CCC, we are required to do aftercare planning for them. So that means that before they walk out the door, we've already identified an aftercare appointment for them to attend to, because a lot of the people that present may not be connected to community partners already. They don't have a therapist. They don't have a prescriber to prescribe their medications. So we try to make that connection for them before they leave. And then we also give them referrals, people, places, and that they can go to or that they can call if they aren't able to get an appointment right away, or if they, are still indecisive on whether they want to continue treatment. They have referral sources that can assist them. And then also individuals are more than welcome to return to the CCC if they are in a continued state of crisis as well. So it's not like one and done. You came this week, you can't come again. Right. If you're still in crisis and you don't have somewhere to go, we are still that place that you can go to.
Would there be then like an inpatient kind of thing that you would refer people to, like if somebody has a drug problem or an addiction problem?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have a long list
partnerships
of,
with, okay.
We have a long list of referrals for SUD and mental health as well. So while we're there, we always incorporate the client in their aftercare plan. And we don't just say, made you this appointment, go here next week.
Right. Yeah.
We talk to the individuals while they're there and assess, okay, is this area right for you? Are you looking for telehealth? Do you want in person? Are you interested in a place that has groups? Are you interested in a place, that has inpatient? Or are you looking for their IOPs? So we ask all of those questions with individuals before we actually, make any appointments. The client.
Do you find a hard time finding the places you need to refer to?
No,
Okay.
we don't. we have a long list of places, and, we try to work with community partners all the time. I'm still doing tours for the CCC. I'm still doing presentations. I'm still doing wonderful things like this. So people reach out to us all the time looking to partner with us, and we reach out to other places looking to partner with them. So they're looking to be able to refer their clients to us, and we're also looking to refer our clients to them, because we want to have a plethora of places that we can refer to.
Yeah.
Because that's what's really important, because we all know that
that's the hard
there has
part.
been long waits for social workers for appointments.
Yeah, I mean, I would think, like 23 hours is critical, but then there's usually a need for long-term rehab of some kind. And, the importance of being able to open doors to get that. I have been there and know the difficulty of trying to find places.
Yeah, it's difficult to navigate.
Well, there's a lot of things. I mean,
and
there's
especially when you're in that
problems.
stage. Yeah.
And so a lot of cases, insurance becomes an issue. They don't have room, this, that, or whatever. And it's not fun.
Yeah.
How do you handle if there's no insurance? Like, how does that change? Does it change the game plan or the process?
It doesn't change the game plan or the process for us, because we will still see the individuals that present with no insurance.
And they would be able to get medication and...
Yes.
Okay.
We will be able to still prescribe them medication. And the good thing is that our agency is so large. We do have navigators. So our goal is to then connect them to our navigators so that they can eventually get insurance, so that they're able to continue their treatment.
Right, because I think that's where the issue lies a lot of times, and that's why it's, these services, as I sit here, are just so huge, because I do know, and we've all been there and known people who are in crisis, and, whatever it might be, how to connect and get through the red tape is a lot of times I'm not even gonna bother, it's too much, I don't even know where to begin, this is too overwhelming, so anyone listening, it is so huge to have someone to walk you through, and I think it will lead to a more successful outcome a lot of times, because it's here you go, here is the concrete plan, you're not left to kind of scramble and figure out, where do I go? How do I get connected? And that's what we always say about this show, where we have the ability to educate people about it, because there are wonderful resources out there. It's just, you don't know.
You don't know. Or, you don't know where to start.
Right.
There's the stigma.
Absolutely.
You think that you are incapable of getting the help that you need, but that is not true. There's tons of resources out there. There's services out there, and the good thing about the CCC, it's 24/7, 365.
Right.
So
It's
if
huge.
you find yourself in crisis in the middle of the night, you don't have to say, I'll call my therapist in the morning. You can literally walk right into this clinic.
Well, and I would
receive the
imagine
help that
too,
you need.
because when I first, with the 24/7, 365 is, especially on holidays, I think about that all the time for
Right, it
people for
increases.
varying
Right,
degrees,
right.
these certain triggers, and it could be harder, and then it's but unfortunately a lot of places aren't.
Are closed. The
right.
clinics are closed.
So it's what do you do? And that's immediately what struck to me is having this place that you are able to go to.
Well, like we talk about many times on this show, is to get educated and learn, even though you may think you're never going to go through any of this.
Right.
You may help somebody else
Somebody
about
may
what
go
the
through
options
this.
are.
Right.
Because the worst thing is when you're in a crisis mode and you really, really don't know what to do, of any kind. It really...
No, and what you were saying too, being the family member, the friend of that person, I mean, it's just so important to educate yourself to be able to lead that person to the
some
right
of the
place.
stuff I'm describing, I've been involved because of somebody or my own family or a friend's family, and if people are honest, you'll find out a lot of families have stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but you used the stigma word before. Once you get past that barrier, you find out that part of life is people have these things happen. And that's the real world.
Yeah.
Do you have support, programming there where people can come back to? Do you run continued support groups, or is it once they've gone through the aftercare process and gone to another agency? Is that usually how it works, or
Yeah.
or they come back to you in a different way?
So as the crisis center, every time an individual presents, it's like a new instance, like a new episode. So once they leave, their case is closed, and then it's reopened if they present for a new crisis on a different day at a different time. So we don't run continued services. We don't run groups at the CCC, but that's why we refer out. Right. We are aware of programs that, and that's why when we ask them, what are you looking for? Are you looking for groups? Would that be beneficial for you? We find them agencies that do provide those things for them so that they can have that if they feel like that's going to be a part of their treatment planning. But after an individual is discharged from the CCC, we do follow up with them for 7 days after.
That's great.
So we follow up initially 48 hours after to just check in on them, see how they're doing, to ensure that, maybe, the crisis is resolved if it's not. And then we follow up 2 more times within 7 days to see if they went to their aftercare appointment, if they needed rescheduled, if they, for whatever reason didn't go. So we do make that connection for 7 days following their discharge.
Like, so transportation-wise, if someone doesn't have transportation, how do you work with that?
So if an individual doesn't have transportation to get to the CCC, we try to work with them as far as if they have, like, mass. We can arrange transportation for them to get to the CCC. If an individual presents and they can't, get home from, we can arrange Uber services for them to get home as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about, like in this day and age, you have to think a little bit about security. People come in, they're not in the right state of mind, so, something could go wrong. How does that kind of work out? Yeah. So the CCC has a metal detector. Each individual walks through the metal detector. And, when we were designing this program, we don't have security or metal detectors at any of our other programs at CN Guidance. So this was, very much so a discussion, of how we wanted to navigate this. Because, of course, as Otto mentioned, people are coming in crisis. This is walk-in, so we don't know who we're going to get. Yeah, they're not in the right state. We're open 24/7. We're open at night. This is another program that, again, we don't have tons of programs at the agency that operate, on those time schedules. So we thought really hard about it, and we came up with a metal detector that doesn't look like your standard metal detector. It kind of fits in the frame of the wall. So when you walk through, you don't really know that you're working through. You don't even know that you're walking through a metal detector. So individuals just constantly just walk in, and then, on the screen we see, we can identify items. So we made the decision to purchase that. And then we made the decision to get 24/7 security. Yeah. So we do have one security guard on site 24/7. And, it's working. We haven't had, knock on wood, we haven't had any instances of, anybody, acting belligerent or, has posed a safety risk for staff or others right now, which is really good. And we also have security kind of off in an office. They kind of just watch the cameras. They do rounds. But if there's an instance where something is happening, my staff have been trained in crisis de-escalation to try to de-escalate the client, on our own, because we all know that security, law enforcement can kind of it could complicate, raise it more. Right. So we are all trained, we're all either clinicians or trained in de-escalation. So we try to be that kind of first barrier. And then, obviously, if we can't, then security will come and get involved. But we haven't had any instances where that has happened. Individuals present at the CCC, and I honestly want to say that they are really coming because they need help. Right. Yeah. And that has really been their focus. Right. I mean,
That's great.
Yes, we do get individuals that are in a crisis state and can become loud, can become, a little spicy. But as I like to tell my staff, I'm from Brooklyn. Yeah. I am so, like working in shelter, people would tell me all the time, like, I'm going to meet you outside. Yeah. I'm going to do this to you. Yeah. And, I realize that individuals say a lot of things when they are upset or when they don't understand what's happening with them, It is what it is.
People
this is the
do
field
that
that
in a
we're in.
supermarket.
It happens every day.
in the car.
It happens at the light. You
Yeah,
know?
right.
So I feel like, I try to tell my staff all the time, we work in behavioral health.
Right.
You got to kind of
Right.
know
You're
what
here
you
for a
signed
reason,
up
right.
for, right?
Yeah.
So, no, we don't want to normalize, being disrespected or, but those things can happen.
Yeah.
So I try to talk to them all the time about, don't take things personal. They are presenting here because they need help.
Right.
They want help.
Yeah. And you supervise, so that's the other thing. Do you do like a
Yes.
regular supervision
Yes.
type of? Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought
So
you
all
must.
staff receive
Yeah.
supervision. We have monthly staff meetings. We have
Right.
team meetings. We engage with staff often
Yeah.
because we want to be respectful of their feelings
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell them just be okay with being bashed and
Right,
getting
right.
cussed
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it comes with the territory.
Yeah,
but I
but
definitely don't want to
there's a line.
normalize exactly.
Yeah. How many staff do you have? Like how many social workers? How many nurses?
Sure. So we have 10 nurses right now. We
Wow.
have 4 full-time prescribers.
Wow.
Is it 4? Yes, 4 full-time prescribers. We have myself, and I also recently hired an assistant director. And we have 4 clinicians. We have 5 peers, 4
great.
KSACs. So yeah, we have a
Excellent.
pretty big team.
Yes.
Wow.
Nice
Well, we've taken another break, and after the break, we will continue talking with Sharayah Sanon all about CN Guidance Communities Crisis Center. You're listening to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
What's a podcast and how much does it cost?
so I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
I see, but where can you find good ones?
and I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
Oh, that sounds easy.
and then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Welcome back to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Liu, along with my co-hosts, Otto Los and Paula Ewell, and we're diving in with Sharayah Sanon, all about CN Guidance's Community Crisis Center. We've been learning so much information. I have notes everywhere. But I just wanted to touch upon something too. I would imagine a lot of times, we're always hearing about housing, and the crisis of that. And I think that goes hand in hand a lot of times with, something, mental health. If someone doesn't have a place to go, do you guys have a list of, different housing, which is tough, shelters or whatever it might be that you can kind of get them into?
So, as you know, shelters in that process goes through DSS, like housing.
Right.
So when individuals do present because they are unhoused and they don't have anywhere to go, we do refer them to DSS. But it's not as simple as, here's the address,
No.
go to DSS.
Right,
We
yeah, 'cause
call
that's what-
DSS
right, 'cause that's what I
and
think
make
is
that
important.
connection, and we try to get an individual a place to go for the night. And then the unique situation is that we're able to hold somebody there for 23 hours and
Right.
59 minutes.
While you're getting the place.
While you're getting it happen, right.
Exactly. Whether we're referring
It's not the hospital
inpatient,
saying, okay, you're here 3
gotta
hours.
go.
Bye. Yeah.
Right.
Here's your paperwork.
So we never try to just put an individual out, especially
Yeah.
if, one, we know that they need to go to inpatient and inpatient can pick them up to tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Right.
We hold them there. They have a place to sleep. They can take a shower. They can
Oh,
eat.
that's great.
All of
That's
those things.
awesome.
And receive treatment while they're there.
Right.
Yeah.
Constantly being engaged by peers or by staff
Right.
as well.
How should somebody decide when they're in a crisis mode? Usually I believe it would be the family or a friend in this situation that I'm going to describe. I don't think somebody would call 911 on themselves, but you never know. Now you're a friend, family member, whatever, and there's this crisis going on around you due to mental health or substance abuse. How would you sort of walk through the thought process of, should I call 911? The number 988 comes up.
Yeah.
How should I think about what I should do here?
Sure. So the CCC is a part of a crisis continuum in the state of New York. So it's a newly created division. I mean, some of the other programs already existed, but now it's an actual division. So we are part of a division, and it's called the Crisis Continuum Crisis Services. So you mentioned 988. So 988 is identified as a a place to call. So people that call 988, those people should be somebody that they just want to talk to somebody. Maybe they, had a recent loss and they just want to chat. And then there's mobile crisis. That's someone to come to you. So that's for individuals that, maybe not necessarily want to go out to somewhere, but they do feel like they need some type of treatment. Providers can come to them to provide services. Now, the CCC is somewhere to go.
And also, what's that phone number that someone can call if they want to
mobile
call?
crisis?
Yeah, or call you guys.
So 988 can connect you directly to mobile crisis.
Okay, great.
The CCC is somewhere to go in the crisis continuum. So the people that present to the CCC are individuals that are experiencing a behavioral health emergency, but it's not yet there for them to go to the ER.
Right.
So meaning maybe they're having some suicidal intent, some suicidal thoughts in passing, or their anxiety has gotten really bad and maybe their functioning has become limited. Or I'll use an example of a minor. Maybe the kid is being bullied at school and they're not going to school and they're being a little defiant with parents or guardians. That's a place for the CCC. Those are welcomed referrals for the CCC. People that, maybe need to go straight to the hospital, that are individuals that have a plan to end their lives and they have a means, they have a way. Maybe the family member knows that they, do own weapons. They have access to those. It's unsafe for them to be in their home. They're not open to safety planning. They're not open to treatment. Those are the individuals that should probably go directly to the hospital.
Yeah, that's so.
Okay. How, well, we talk a lot of times about hospital, whatnot, therapeutic housing, which doesn't exist anymore. There are people who just have chronic problems that probably can't be fixed, I think, reality. But there's nowhere for them to go, in my judgment, unless do you know of places that people can go to where this problem is very long and extended?
Yeah, so there are places. I know that we have tons of residential housings. I mean, I know they go from different levels. There's community housing, there's supportive housing. There are housing for people with mental illness. Obviously, you have to go through that process. You have to start at DSS. And then you can be graduated to different levels of housing as your mental health changes. So there's supportive housing where, maybe you live on your own, but people come in to support you. And there's community residences where there's workers that actually come there and they work out of the place that you live in. So there are places. Are there a lot of places? No. Is there a wait for some of those places? Yes. But I know that we are expanding and are getting more housing as well. Like seeing Guidance is getting more housing in the future.
Wow.
So there are places for people that, are living with mental health, but they are not able to live on their own. But there's also supports out there as well.
Like years ago.
ACT is a good support for individuals that are living on their own with mental health, because they have providers that can come to them to provide those services so that they don't, run out of meds, or, they have therapy. So there are resources for individuals that, will help them be able to continue work, living in the community, living on their own.
Yeah, I'm thinking years ago in my youth, there was Creedmoor, Kings Park, Willowbrook. And they weren't good places, all right? And that was the problem.
Yeah.
If they were halfway decent places where they treated people humanely, maybe they'd still be here. And a lot of times people are a danger to themselves and a danger to society. And I think that's a problem that we haven't really tried to address yet. This is just an editorial comment. But that, it has nothing to do with what you guys do. What's the main reasons that people would come to your place?
Sure, so many different reasons. So the individuals that we see, depression, anxiety, postpartum. We get a lot of minors that come for reasons from being sent from the schools for evaluations, return to school letters, bullying. We get individuals that do have providers in the community, but maybe, you know, they're just in between sessions. Maybe their provider's on vacation and they're in a crisis because they haven't seen their therapist in a week. And, you know, they've been on a strict regimen of seeing their therapist for 2 years now. So they may come in because they feel like they're in crisis. We get individuals that are running out of medications and they don't have another appointment with their prescriber for a week or two. We can provide bridge medications.
I think that's probably
that's
huge.
yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, you
Do
could
they
be
get it
one
right on
moment
site?
away.
Right.
Yes.
So they're getting it right on
So
site.
we have a stock medications on site, and then we've also built a Genoa pharmacy on site as well.
Oh, wow.
For controlled substances.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of my granddaughters that they know is a social worker in a high school, and she has a big CN guidance poster on her wall. Yeah, not about the crisis center, but I will.
It's okay.
Yeah, but do you have things like the outreach? Like I always talk about smart feet on the street. You know, the more people. And you're only a baby, basically. I mean, 6 months, I
I'll
believe.
take that, I'm a baby.
Yeah.
She said yes, me and the center.
Of course. You know, but it's only 6 months old. So there's you know, CN guidance is not 6 months old.
No, we're not.
But the crisis center is brand new, basically.
Yes.
So to me, just like when we started with Project Independence, I said that's a wonderful idea, but nobody knows about it.
Right.
You know, how do you get the word out? And you're sitting here adds to getting the word out. I would say. You know? And you know, it sounds like you described the staff before. Are there people within your part of the program who do outreach, who try to educate more people?
So we have a huge outreach team in CN Guidance in general.
Right.
They go out constantly, do table-in events, community events, the walks, anything you can imagine. They go out and not only get the word out on the CCC, but the agency in general and all of the services that we provide. We have tons of marketing materials. We have a wonderful website. We are present on social media. I'm doing things like this.
Right.
I go to the schools and present. I still do tons of tours. So we work very hard, our outreach team in general, on getting the word out of all the services that CN Guidance provides.
Yeah, I'm somehow got on the CN Guidance email list.
Oh,
So I get all the
wonderful.
charity, you know, events that they run. I think tomorrow they have a big sale going on.
Oh, yes, our
in
block party.
Smithtown.
Yes.
See, Otto
Yeah.
Otto keeps informed.
Block party, yeah.
Well, they have some big thing in Smithtown, I believe it is. I don't have it with me here. Or
Oh, maybe you're talking about the golf event?
Yeah, but anyhow, the
Oh, the
point
block
is
thing
that
this weekend.
I think the idea is tremendous, and just, you know, the more people that would know about it, the better.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, the whole thing is just like Project Independence. I've been with my mother, as they well know, back when, and try to get the support that you need. And it's like, you know, looking for the needle in the haystack. So what you're providing, the thing that's the big thing to me was this, okay, 23 hours critical time. But then now what? So you have this aftercare plan, to me, is worth its weight in gold, because you wouldn't know where to go or what to do.
Yeah.
When
you
you
walk
leave.
out the door.
Right.
Right.
Now
Right.
what?
Yeah, like
Right.
what do
Exactly.
I?
Right. What would you say is the percentage or experience of seniors coming in to use the program? Is that been happening?
It's happened, yeah.
Okay.
Seniors have come in. Seniors have been brought in by their children
Yeah.
or their
Okay.
partners before. So, yes, seniors do come in to receive services.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. That's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I think that's important. I was thinking too, like, you know, we know, which has been growing, you know, there's so many seniors that are, you know, taking care of their grandchildren now too, you know, and I think, you know, we've dealt with that,
Yeah.
you know, on our end, you know, with different organizations and kind of figuring out how to navigate that, because it's like a new world,
Yeah.
you know, and I think, you know, especially if your grandchild is experiencing some kind of crisis thing, you know, I think for the senior themselves also on the other end to know
Absolutely.
that this exists to bring
Right.
their, you know.
Yeah. We have a
family member.
grandparenting respite program with Project Independence. Yeah, and we have about 25 is our general number, and we partner with North Shore Child and Family Guidance, and they run the program, and it's essentially grandparents raising their grandchildren from elementary school through high school, and everything that comes with all of that. So having the respite program gave the grandparents a chance just to be together. Like, how are we doing this? Just support each other, and then have some education
Yeah,
for
so the
the
education
children
piece.
as well.
Well,
So
also,
we should get that.
Yes, I think that's why I've been like
Really.
jotting down so many things because there's so many different connections and events and you
Yeah.
know,
Well, the flip side, though, for grandparents is it doesn't have to be for them.
No,
They
right.
could-
That's
Yeah,
what
well,
I'm
that's what I'm
saying.
saying.
If they have the
Right,
knowledge,
to drive,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. That's
exactly.
what I meant.
Yeah.
And then we have to mention a new little addition to the facility, and his name is Arnie. So tell us a little bit about Arnie.
So Arnie is amazing. He is our wellness dog. At Seeing Guidance, he is a full employee. He works very
On
hard.
Social Security.
Everything. Well, he's still a baby. He's only 4, so he's not eligible yet. By the time he may be eligible, it may not exist. So, he is wonderful. So he's a wellness dog that comes to all of our programs. But when he does come to the CCC, he is so helpful to the clients. Like, he's walking through and like the clients love him. They engage with him. He provides a calmness and a stillness for individuals that come in. And then he's so helpful for staff, I've noticed in
that's
particular,
great, yeah.
because the environment is so, high yield crisis.
right.
Yeah,
There's
of
something,
course.
staff are always
Right.
constantly moving around. He just provides a calmness to staff. Like, staff have come up to me after he's left and it's like, oh, I was having such a rough day. And then Arnie came and one staff said to me, he must have known that I was, having a hard time because
Yeah.
he came directly to me and he's just sat under me and, he just provided comfort. And he does that with staff and clients alike. He works really hard.
What kind
How
of puppy is he?
often is he there?
He is a lab.
Lab?
Yeah, lab.
Black
Yep.
lab.
That's what I was going to guess.
saw the video.
He is a lab.
Yeah.
I love labs.
Oh my, it's so cute.
Yeah. How often is he there?
Oh, he's there quite often.
He's busy, that Arnie.
He has a full-time job.
He doesn't live there.
No, he does not live there.
Right.
He doesn't live there. Nobody lives there because nobody sleeps there. But he's there at least, twice or 3 times a week. He comes
great.
when I do tours at the CCC. He does those. And then sometimes he's just there with his handler.
You said something about the staff, and I had a question because I could visualize if this is what you do every day, all day, you could get burnout or, you just get too deep into it. And most people who do what you all do get deep into it or you wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
So shutting it off, I don't know, how do you go about that with you and your team in general?
Well, for myself, I'm so desensitized. For me, it's very easy to shut it on and off. But I always talk to my team about self-care and taking care of yourself. Using your time off, when, you're not well, you're not going to be able to do this job. You're not going to be able to worry about somebody else's mental health when yours is not, where it needs to be. So I always encourage my staff to, practice good self-care, take time off when you need it, when you're not feeling well. Take the time that you need, but also the agency itself is very invested in the wellness of the individuals that work there. And I'm not just saying that because I work there. I have lived through experiences in my own personal life where they've been very supportive, encouraged me to do what I needed to do to be able to run this program. So we've invested in trainings for staff, encouraged them to use the EAC, the wellness line for themselves if they need it. So I always encourage them, to take care of yourself.
Kind of like we always say, caregivers in general.
Yep.
If the caregiver gets sick, then you got a big problem.
Yeah.
And if the person who's providing support at your place gets not in the right frame of mind, that's not good either.
No.
And then now, if there's someone wants to get more information, what's the best contact number if they just want to, talk to someone and kind of see what other services are available?
I'd encourage them to use the website. Our website is a wealth of information, contact information, a good resource to learn more about all of the programs that we currently have and also our projects that are coming up as well.
What is the website?
cnguidance.org. Guidance.org.
So that would be for the whole organization.
Yes.
And
Right.
the center would be part of
The
it.
CCC has a whole segment on there. So if you need more information about the CCC, you can also get that on there.
Yeah,
as
because I
well.
think that that's important too. I mean, obviously, our main focus today was really talking about the crisis center, but I mean, there was so many services listed. It was like I literally had to do some crafty
Forever growing,
screenshotting to
forever
figure out how to
expanding.
print it.
Yes.
But I mean, so much, and of course there's senior adult services, the mental health, and you had jail diversion programs. There was vocational service. I mean, it was endless, and I think
Yeah.
that's a whole nother segment we could have.
Well,
you guys
yeah,
back
but
on to.
the thought is, would you lead them from your center to other parts of,
Subsea and guidance?
Yeah.
We can if it's appropriate.
Right,
Yeah. But it's
okay.
more so about making sure we can get them an appointment sooner. If we don't have anything sooner, I'm definitely not going to just hold them to this agency.
Well, we're going to clearly have to have her back. But I would like to thank Sharayah Sanon, who gave us so much wonderful information about CN Guidance's Community Center, Crisis Center. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank everyone who has listened. You're listening to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio.